Om Yairime Gurubhih Purvam Padavakya Pramanataha Vyakhyatas Sarva Vedantastan Nityam Pranatosmyaham.
Swamiji, we will first introduce you, and then I will hand it over to you.
Okay, fine.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Namaste and a very warm welcome. Welcome to yet another session of Weekend with Wisdom. We are discussing about the topic definitions of Brahman. We are meeting for the part 2 of this series. We have Swamiji, Swami Shivaprakashananda Saraswati with us. Namaste, Swamiji. Thank you for joining us.
Namaste.
Let me give a brief introduction to the topic for the benefit of the viewers who have not joined us yesterday but are joining us today. Brahman, the ultimate reality, is revealed through two types of definitions, namely svarūpa-lakṣaṇam and taṭastha-lakṣaṇam. While the second one emphasizes the presence of Brahman as the source of the universe with all its diversities, the first definition presents the innate nature of Brahman as the non-dual substance. The talks are aimed at understanding the logic underpinning the definitions and unfolding their significance in conveying the vision of Advaita. Yesterday, we discussed Tatastha Lakshanam. Today, we will be going into Swarupalakshanam of Brahman. Before I hand over the session to Swamiji, I would like to take this opportunity to introduce him. Swami Shivaprakashananda Saraswati is a sannyasi and a traditional teacher of Vedanta. Quest for spiritual knowledge made him renounce mundane life at the age of 22 and dedicate his life to sadhana. Accomplished gurus like Parama Pujya Swami Dayananda Saraswati, Pujya Swamini Brahma Prakashanandaji, and Swami Tattvamayanandaji blessed him with a vision of Advaita. Swamiji received his initial spiritual training at Sri Ramakrishna Math. He studied Vedanta at Gurukulam, situated at a serene forest area near Nagpur for a period of 3 years. Swamiji had a solitary stay in the Himalayas on the banks of Holy Ganga, which gave a golden lining to his spiritual pursuit. The year 2013 brought him to Bangalore, where he taught Vedanta to seekers from all walks of life. For the past several years, Swamiji has been working tirelessly to disseminate the knowledge of Vedanta. Swamiji is well versed in traditional Vedanta literature, various systems of Indian philosophy, and Paninian grammar. He unfolds texts like Bhagavad Gita and Upanishads in line with the traditional understanding and his own enlightenment. Swamiji has firm conviction and absolute dedication to the works of traditional teachers of Vedanta like Sri Adi Shankaracharya. Swamiji has an ardent desire to spread knowledge without any pomp or show. His serene personality reflects the poise and depth of his knowledge. His simple yet methodical approach to expounding spiritual knowledge appeals to the minds of the present generation. Once again, thank you so much, Swamiji, for joining us. I request you to take over the session. Thank you.
Om Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha Guru Sakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. In yesterday's talk, we discussed taṭastha Lakshanam. The Vedanta introduces Brahman through two types of lakshanas. Lakshana means definition. Swarūpa-lakṣaṇam and taṭastha-lakṣaṇam. Among the two lakshanas, taṭastha-lakṣaṇa should be understood first, because taṭastha-lakṣaṇa introduces Brahman through what we know, through what is familiar to us. And the taṭastha-lakṣaṇam of Brahman is given in Taittiriyopanishad. Yato va imani bhutani jayante yena jatani jivanti yat prayantyabhisamvishanti. The same is indicated in Brahma Sutra, second sutra of the Brahma Sutras. Janmadhyasya yataha. The cause of creation, sustenance, and resolution of the universe. Jagataha janmasthiti layaha yasmat tad brahma. Because of the srishti, creation, sustenance, and resolution of the universe happen is called Brahman. In this definition, the very nature of Brahman is not touched. The definition does not refer to the intrinsic nature of Brahman. It defines Brahman through Jagat, in relation to Jagat. And Jagat is external to Brahman. It is not the intrinsic nature of Brahman. Therefore, this Lakshana is called Tatastha Lakshanam. On analyzing Tatastha Lakshanam, we understand that Brahman is both Nimitta Karanam as well as Upadana Karanam of the universe. Any product will have two types of causes: Nimitta Karana, intelligent cause, and Upadana Karana, material cause. The universe also has Nimitta Karana and Upadana Karana, and both happen to be the same Brahman, Ishvara. Therefore, Brahman is called Abhinna Nimitta Upadana Karanam of the Jagat. In Vedanta Shastra, any claim should be justified with the two types of evidences, Shruti and Yukti. Shruti Pramana, the basis in the Upanishads for any given claim, as well as the supporting logic, which is called Yukti. We saw the Shruti Pramana to substantiate Brahman as Nimitta Karana as well as Upadana Karana. And also we analyze the logics, how Brahman is both Nimitta Karana and Upadana Karana. That was about Tatastha Lakshanam of Brahman. Now let us inquire into the second type of Lakshana, namely Swarūpa-lakṣaṇam. Unlike taṭastha Lakshanam, Swarupalakshanam defines Brahman referring to the intrinsic nature, being Swarupa, referring to the Swarupa, the intrinsic nature, it defines Brahman. Therefore, it is called Swarupalakshanam. The Swarupalakshanam of Brahman is also found in Taittiriya Upanishad, Brahmananda Valli, Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. This statement forms Swarupalakshanam of Brahman. The Upanishad makes use of three descriptions: Satyam, Jnanam, and Anantam. Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam, Brahma. Let us first understand the meaning of each of the words. Satyam means the absolute reality, the absolute truth. There are various definitions of Satyam. In this discussion, let us consider two definitions of Satyam. The first one is given by Shankaracharya himself in his commentary on Taittiriya Upanishad. Yadrupena yannishchitam tadrupam na vyabhicharati tat satyam. Yadrupena yannishchitam tadrupam na vyabhicharati tat satyam. Nama yadrupena yannishchitam tad yadi tadrupam na vyabhicharati tarhi tat satyam ityuchyate. An entity is ascertained in a given nature and it does not give up its nature at any point of time, then it is called Satyam. If an entity does not give up the nature in which it is determined at any point of time, then it is called Satyam. Let's understand with an example. The example of rope snake. The snake superimposed on the rope at a given point of time, you recognize it as a snake. But you cannot recognize it as a snake eternally, because when you understand the truth, the snake nature disappears. The snake rupa disappears. Vyabhicharati. At a given point, you have recognized it as a snake, but at some other point, you don't recognize it as a snake. The snake rupa, the snake nature goes away. Therefore, the snake is not Satya. It cannot be called Satya. If it has to be Satyam, it should be eternally so. At no point of time, its nature should change. Then it is Satyam. This is one of the definitions of Satyam. Another definition of Satyam: Satyatvam badharahityam. Satyatva is badharahityam, absence of negation. Satyam is the one that cannot be negated. The one that cannot be negated is called Satyam. This is another definition of Satya. We find this definition in Panchadashi of Vidyaranya. Satyatvam badharahityam. Brahman is Satyam. Both the definitions should fit. Brahman does not change his nature. He remains Brahman. He remains in his nature eternally, and he cannot be negated. Brahman cannot be negated. That is Satyam. Then Jnanam, second word, second description. The word Jnanam in general refers to knowledge as a function of our mind. Knowledge as a process in our mind. But in the definition of Brahman, Jnana does not mean knowledge as a function of the mind. Instead, Jnana refers to the eternal consciousness. The consciousness which does not have origin and dissolution. The Swarupa-jnana, which is called Chit or Chaitanya. The third word, third description is Anantam, free from limitations, infinite. Anta means limitation. They talk of three types of limitations. Desha paricheda, kala paricheda, and vastu paricheda. Desha paricheda, limitation in terms of space. Almost all the objects that we see are limited in terms of space. The table in front of me, it is there in some space, but it is not there in some other space. It is space-wise limitation. Limitation in space. Desha paricheda or deshataha antaha. Another is kala paricheda. Limitation in time. It is there at some point of time. It is present between 2 points of time. And it is not there before the point of time. And it is not there after another point of time. Then it has kala paricheda. It is present only between 2 points of time, not before that and not after that. Then it has kala paricheda. And vastu paricheda, limitation in terms of being confined to a given name and form, is vastu paricheda. Limitation in terms of being a given object. Limitation in terms of being a given name and form. For example, the table is not the computer. The table is not the chair. The table is just the table. It is not anything other than the table. It is confined being a table. It is vastu paricheda. Thus, there are three parichedas. Brahman is anantam. It should be free from all these three limitations. Absolutely infinite, absolutely free from limitations. So Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam is the Swarupalakshanam. Now, as I said yesterday, on logical analysis of Tatastha Lakshanam, we can arrive at the Swarupalakshanam. If we analyze Tatastha Lakshana, we can arrive at the Swarupalakshanam. Let us first consider one aspect of Tatastha Lakshana. Brahman is upadana karana of the Jagat. The material cause of the Jagat. Let us inquire into the nature of the material cause of the universe. Let us take any object in the creation. For example, a shirt. Let's take up a shirt and inquire into its cause. What is the cause of a shirt? When I say cause, I am referring to upadana karana, material cause of a shirt. The shirt is made of cloth, fabric. What is the cloth made of? The cloth is made of threads. Therefore, the cause of shirt is cloth, and the cause of cloth is thread. What is the cause of thread? Cotton. Thread is made of cotton. Therefore, at another level, the cause happens to be cotton. And we can go further. The cause of cotton, what is cotton made up of? Let's say molecules. What are the molecules made of? Atoms. What are atoms made of? Subatomic particles, photon, neutron, electron. Likewise, we can go on and on. But ultimately, this analysis should culminate somewhere, at some point, where this series of cause-effect relation culminates. It is called primary cause. The primary cause of the Shar. What is the primary cause? What is the nature of the primary cause? Let's try to understand. There is an underlying principle that the cause pervades all its subsequent effects. The material cause pervades all its subsequent effects. For example, the cotton pervades thread, and the subsequent effect is cloth after thread. Therefore, cotton pervades thread as well as cloth, and the subsequent effect is shirt, and the cotton pervades shirt also. Therefore, the cotton pervades thread, cloth, as well as the shirt, all its subsequent effects. Likewise, the primary cause should pervade all the effects at all stages. The primary cause should pervade the shirt. It should pervade the cloth. It should pervade the thread. It should pervade the cotton. It should pervade molecule, atom, everything. If it pervades everything, then it can be called the primary cause. Now, what pervades everything? Effect at every stage. When we recognize any object, let's say shirt, we recognize it with ease. Shirt ease, cloth ease, thread ease, cotton ease, molecule ease, atom ease, subatomic particle ease. And even if you go further, even the constituents of the subatomic particles, even they cannot escape from the ease. Therefore, every stage of the cause-effect series is pervaded by ease. In Sanskrit, ease is called sat. we can translate it as existence. Sat, existence. Therefore, existence deserves to be the primary cause of the shar, because the cause effect analysis culminates in existence. Therefore, the primary cause of the shar is existence, sat. Likewise, if we take any other object and inquire into its primary cause, we will arrive at existence. We will arrive at sat. Therefore, the primary cause, the upadana karanam of everything is sat, existence. Now, is there any difference between the sat of a cloth and the sat of a table? Is there any difference? There is no difference as far as sat is concerned. There is no difference in existence. The cloth is, the table is, the chair is. The difference is only in names and forms. You cannot show a difference in existence. Therefore, existence, sat, is one. One and the same existence is the cause of the whole universe, the upadana karanam of the whole universe. And if we inquire into the nature of sat, sat does not change. Existence does not change. The names and forms change. Existence is free from changes. It cannot give up its nature. Therefore, existence, sat, fits into the first definition of Satyam, yadrupena nishchitam na vyabhicharati, tat Satyam. Since it does not change, it is Satyam. And existence cannot be negated. We cannot negate the existence. Therefore, it fits into the second definition of Satyam, badharahityam. Satyatvam badharahityam. It cannot be negated. Therefore, Sat is Satyam. And in favor of this, we find Shruti also. Sadeva Satyam. Sat is Satyam. Everything other than Sat, all the names and forms, they are not Satyam. They are Mithya. Vacharambhanam vikaro namatheya. Chandogyopanishad, chapter 6. So, Sat is Satyam. Therefore, the Upadana Karana of the universe is Satyam. And Brahman happens to be the Upadana Karana. Since Brahman is the Upadana Karana, Brahman should be Satyam. Therefore, from the understanding of Upadana Karana, we arrived at one aspect of the Swarupalakshanam, Satyam. Then Brahman is Nimitta Karana. Since Brahman is Nimitta Karana, we can understand that Brahman is a Jnanam. To be Nimitta Karana, one should have consciousness. Without consciousness, it cannot be Nimitta Karana. Because Nimitta Karana is intelligent cause. The intelligent cause has to be a sentient being, a conscious being. Therefore, Nimitta Karanam, being Nimitta Karanam, Brahman should have Jnana. Consciousness. In this context, one can inquire into the nature of Jnana. What Jnana is meant when we discuss the Jnanam as Brahman, as the Swarupa of Brahman. It cannot be the process of knowledge. It cannot be the mental function of knowledge. Because the knowledge as a process or the knowledge as a function of mind has a beginning. It is temporary and it has a beginning. If it has a beginning, then it cannot be the cause of the universe. Because anything that has a beginning begins with the universe. The cause of the universe itself cannot have a beginning. Therefore, it should have existed before the universe, and it should be eternal. Therefore, jnana in this context cannot refer to knowledge as a process. The knowledge which comes and goes. It is the very nature of Brahman, the consciousness which is eternal, nitya. Therefore, nimitta karana refers to jnana. Through nimitta karana, we understand jnanam or chit. Jnana itself is called chit or chaitanya. Therefore, through two aspects of the taṭastha Lakshanam, we arrive at two aspects of the Swarupalakshanam, Satyam and Jnanam. Now, considering taṭastha Lakshana once again, Brahman is the abhinna nimitta upadana karana. Nimitta karana as well as upadana karana in one. There is no separate upadana karana and there is no separate nimitta karana. Brahman alone is nimitta karana as well as upadana karana. From this we understand that Brahman is ananta, infinite, because if anything limits Brahman, what should it be? What can limit Brahman? We can have three options. Is it the effect of Brahman that limits Brahman? The effect of Brahman. It is one option. Number two, is it another cause? Or is it something else? What limits Brahman? Is it the effect? Or is it another cause? Or is it something else? Let us consider option one, the effect. Effect cannot limit the upadana karana. No effect can limit its upadana karana. No product can limit its upadana karana. Since Brahman is the upadana karana of the whole universe, Brahman is the upadana karana of every limiting factor. Every limiting factor is dependent on Brahman. The limiting factors are space, time, and various objects, vastu. Brahman being the cause of all limiting factors, Brahman being the upadana karana of all limiting factors, nothing, no effect can limit Brahman. Therefore, the first option is ruled out. And the second option, is it another cause? Supposing Brahman is only upadana karana and there is another parallel nimitta karana, then we could have thought that the nimitta karana can limit the upadana karana. One is nimitta karana, another is upadana karana. These two could be parallel realities, and one could have limited the other. But it is not possible because there is no second nimitta karana. Brahman himself is the nimitta karana as well as upadana karana. Therefore, being abhinna nimitta upadana karana, there is no another cause that can limit the Brahman. And the third option, is it anything else? Even the third option can be easily ruled out because there is nothing else. Brahman being the cause of the whole universe, there is nothing else left. Also, Brahman is the Sat, and there is no difference in the Sat. Therefore, Brahman cannot be limited by another object, another entity. Therefore, being abhinna nimitta upadana karana, Brahman has to be anantam. That is how, through taṭastha-lakṣaṇam, inquiring into taṭastha-lakṣaṇam, we can arrive at the svarūpa-lakṣaṇam of Brahman. Satyam, jnanam, anantam Brahma. Being upadana karana, Brahman is Satyam. Being nimitta karana, Brahman is jnanam. And being abhinna nimitta upadana karana, Brahman is ananta. That is how taṭastha-lakṣaṇam justifies the svarūpa-lakṣaṇam. Now, let us inquire into the purpose of Swarupalakshanam. Why we should understand Swarupalakshanam? Why the Shruti presents Swarupalakshanam? Swarupalakshanam mainly serves two purposes. Number one, Swarupalakshanam establishes Brahman as the Parama Purushartha, as the ultimate goal of life. If you look at Brahmananda Valli of Taittiriya Upanishad, it begins with a statement, Brahmavidapnoti param. The knower of Brahman attains the para. This statement implies that Brahman is the ultimate goal of life. Brahman is Parama Purushartha. When this is said, one can get a question. How is it possible? How Brahman can be Parama Purushartha? Then the Upanishad gives the definition of Brahman. Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. The word Anantam establishes Brahman as the Parama Purushartha, the ultimate goal of life. Everybody in the universe is a seeker of happiness. If we are studying Vedanta, it is for happiness. Ananda. Ananda is our Purushartha. Ananda is our goal. Ananta, infinity, and Ananda are invariably related. If there is no Ananta, there cannot be Ananda. If there is no Ananda, it cannot be Ananta. Therefore, they are essentially one and the same. This can be justified with the logic. Happiness is inversely proportional to limitation. Or happiness is directly proportional to freedom from limitation. Imprisonment is a punishment. If we have to punish somebody, we put him in prison. And putting somebody in prison is to limit his freedom. Limitation. Imprisonment as a punishment works on this principle. Happiness is inversely proportional to sense of limitation. When there is limitation, there cannot be happiness. Therefore, the greatest happiness, when there is greatest happiness, there has to be absolute freedom from limitation. In other words, absolute freedom from limitation is equal to absolute happiness. And there is a Shruti The Shruti also favors this contention. Chandogya chapter 7. Yo vai bhuma tat sukham. Bhuma means the infinite. The infinite is sukham. Na alpe sukhamasti bhuma eva sukham. There is no real happiness in anything limited. Bhuma eva sukham. Bhuma alone is sukha. Therefore, anantam implies ananda. Brahman is ananda. And Satyam Ananda. It is Satyam. We don't want a false Ananda. It is Satya. Real happiness. Therefore, Swarupalakshana establishes Brahman as the real happiness. All of us are seeking the real happiness. Therefore, Brahman is our goal. Brahman is our Purushartha. This is the first purpose of Swarupalakshanam. And the second and most important purpose of understanding Swarupalakshana. Jiva Brahma Aikya Jnana. The Mahavakya reveals the Aikya between Jiva and Brahman. Mahavakya like Tattvamasi reveals the Aikya between Jiva and Brahman. The Aikya can be justified only if they have the same Swarupa. The Swarūpa-lakṣaṇa of both Jiva and Brahman should be same. That is the logic used to establish the Aikya between Jiva and Brahman. Lakshana Aikye, Lakshya Aikyam. When both have the same Lakshana, they cannot be different. They have to be one and the same. The Lakshanam of Brahman is Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam. And we can also include Ananda. Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam, as well as Anandam. Even if you don't include, it is fine. Because Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam completes the definition. Likewise, the Swarupa of a Jiva should also be Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam. The nature of the Jiva has to be Satya. because it cannot be negated. We cannot negate our existence. I cannot negate myself. Therefore, the jiva, the nature of the jiva, the swarupa of the jiva has to be Satyam. It cannot be negated. Then the second one, Jnanam or Chit. The jiva is consciousness. The nature of the jiva is consciousness, free from changes. Therefore, the jiva swarupa, the svarūpa-lakṣaṇam of the jiva also is jnana. Satyam and jnana both are there in the swarupa of a jiva. Then the third one, anantam. The individual also should be ananta. The nature of an individual also should be ananta. Because being consciousness, being chit, it cannot have limitation. There can be various logics to establish the anantatva of the self, how the self is infinite. Let me put forward one logic. The self means Atma, which is the essence of the jiva, the swarupa of the jiva. It is consciousness, chaitanya, jnana. And the consciousness cannot have parts. Chaitanya cannot have parts. Unlike the insentient objects in the universe, the consciousness cannot have parts. If the consciousness has parts, if somebody claims that consciousness has parts, then I will ask him this question. The parts of the consciousness, the parts of Chaitanya, are they Chaitanya or are they Jada? Are the parts of consciousness themselves conscious in nature, or are they insentient in nature? I am giving him two options, and he cannot choose either of the options. The first option is not possible. The parts of Chaitanya cannot be Chaitanya themselves. If he says the part of Chaitanya are Chaitanya themselves, that means one Chaitanya will have many Chaitanyas in it, in itself, which is absurd. One Chaitanya cannot have many Chaitanyas in itself. Therefore, he is forced to go to the second option. The parts of Chaitanya are Jada, insentient. Even this doesn't hold good, because if the parts of Chaitanya are Jada, that means Chaitanya is a collection of Jada. And a collection of Jada cannot become Chaitanya. A group of insentient objects do not form anything sentient. They remain insentient. Therefore, the second option is also ruled out. Therefore, Chaitanya cannot have parts. It is free from parts. It is Niravayava. Being Niravayava, it has to be infinite. Because anything that is finite will have parts. Therefore, the one that has no parts has to be infinite. This is a logic to establish the infinite nature of the Atma, the self. So the self, the essence of the Jiva, the Swarupa of the Jiva is Satyam, it is Jnana, Chaitanya, and it is Ananta. And we can also see that it is Ananda as well. The Atma is Ananda. It is logically established by various acharyas, including in Panchadashi Prakarana 1, Vidyaranya establishes that the Atma is the ultimate happiness. The nature of the Atma is ultimate happiness. Paramanandaha. Atma Paramanandaha. And the reason given is Parapremaspadattvat, because Atma is the object of greatest love. We don't love anything more than the Atma. In fact, everything else is loved for the sake of the Atma alone. Therefore, Atma is the object of the greatest love. Being the object of the greatest love, Atma is Paramanandaha, the ultimate happiness. Therefore, Atma is Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam, and Ananda. All these descriptions, the Swarupalakshana of Brahman fits into the Atma also. Therefore, the Lakshanam of Brahman, the Swarupalakshana of Brahman, Satyam Jnanam Anantam, as well as the Swarupa of the Atma, the Swarupa of the Jiva, both are same. There is a Lakshana Aikya between the Swarupa of Brahman as well as the Jiva, the Atma. Lakshana Aikya, Lakshya Aikyam. When the Lakshanas are equal, the Lakshya also should be equal. Therefore, we can understand the Aikya between Jiva and Brahman by understanding the Swarūpa-lakṣaṇam. If we understand only the taṭastha-lakṣaṇam, the Aikya cannot be understood. Because Jiva cannot have Aikya with taṭastha-lakṣaṇam of Brahman. The Aikya is possible only with the Swarūpa-lakṣaṇam. That is why taṭastha-lakṣaṇam itself does not suffice. After understanding the taṭastha-lakṣaṇam, one should understand the Swarūpa-lakṣaṇam as well. Therefore, in the process of understanding the Aikya, the initial role is played by taṭastha-lakṣaṇam, because taṭastha-lakṣaṇam establishes the Swarūpa-lakṣaṇam. Through taṭastha-lakṣaṇam, we understand the Swarūpa-lakṣaṇam. Taṭastha-lakṣaṇādhīna svarūpa-lakṣaṇa siddhihi. Based on taṭastha-lakṣaṇam, we arrive at Swarūpa-lakṣaṇam. And svarūpa-lakṣaṇādhīna aikya siddhi. Through Swarūpa-lakṣaṇam, we understand the Aikya between Jiva and Brahman. That is how the two Lakshanas play very important role in the process of understanding Jiva Brahma Aikya, which is the essence of the Vedanta. With this, I conclude the topic, and before closing, I would like to thank Indica Moksha team, because they are doing a great work in propagating Advaita Vedanta. I wish them the best, and thanks to all the audience. Om Tat Sat. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Swamiji. We are very, very grateful to you for very eruditely expounding on the definitions of Brahman and going into the nitty-gritties of the topic and walking us through the nuances of the same. I would like to now request the viewers to post your questions in the Q&A box, and I shall relay them to Swamiji. Swamiji, we have a question.
Yeah.
How to get the anubhava of this Aikya?
Yeah. How to get anubhava of the Aikya? First of all, we should understand what anubhava is. Is anubhava an assimilated understanding of the truth? Or is it just another experience as we experience any external object? If the second meaning is met, we are experiencing so many things in life, and in a similar fashion, we will get a momentary experience of the Aikya also. It is not possible, because first of all, Brahman himself is not an object of experience. When Brahman himself is not an object of experience, we cannot experience Aikya of Brahman also as an object, as a function of our day-to-day experiences. Therefore, the second meaning of anubhava is ruled out. Therefore, we should understand anubhava in the first sense. It is a proper understanding, a clear understanding, where you don't have any vagueness, where you don't have any doubt that you are Brahman. It is called aparoksha jnana. There are two types of jnanas discussed in Vedanta: paroksha jnana and aparoksha jnana. What is paroksha jnana? Asti Brahma iti jnanam paroksha jnana. When I understand Brahman is, Asti Brahma, Brahman is. If you notice this statement, the verb is in third person. Asti, it is third person. There is Brahman. You understand Brahman as a third person. Brahman is remote, but you understand there is something called Brahman. It is called paroksha jnana. In our discussion,
Taṭastha-lakṣaṇam, understanding of Tatastha-lakṣaṇam gives rise to paroksha jnana. Yes, there is Brahman. But when we understand Mahavakya properly, understanding of Mahavakya involves certain types of sadhana. Like approaching a proper guru, a casual understanding of Vedanta will not give aparoksha jnana. Tad vidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya. Approach a guru and do service, do shavana for a good length of time, consistently, from one guru. In due course of time, one can get a clear understanding of the Mahavakya, Tattvamasi. What really the Mahavakya means. And then the understanding shifts from paroksha jnana to aparoksha jnana. Instead of saying Asti Brahma, Brahman is, he starts saying Aham Brahmasmi, Asmi Brahma. Notice the difference in the verb. The previous one, the verb was in first person, in third person. There is Brahman. And now in aparoksha jnana, the verb is in first person. I am Brahman. Brahman becomes the first person. And that is aparoksha jnana. So anubhava is nothing but aparoksha jnana, a clear understanding that my true essence is nothing other than Brahman. And the process is Shavana, Manana, and Nididhyasana, as prescribed in the Upanishads. Shrotavyo, Mantavyo, Nididhyasitavyaha. Atmava are drashtavyaha. Shrotavyo, Mantavyo, Nididhyasitavyaha. One should understand the Atma. And what one should do to understand the Atma? What one should do to get a darshana of the Atma, a clear vision of the Atma. Shrotavyo, Mantavyo, Nididhyasitavyaha. Shavana, Manana, and Nididhyasana. Yeah, I think the doubt is answered.
Thank you, Swamiji. Thank you so much for patiently giving the explanation for that question.
Yeah.
We have another question. Is Atma and consciousness the same?
Yeah, they are the same. Yeah. Essentially, they are same, but the words signify the same principle in two different ways. When we say Atma, it means the self. What is Atma? The self.
Some people translate it as soul, but soul is not the right translation. In the Western understanding, they have body and soul, and the soul goes to heaven or hell, etc. A good translation of Atma could be self. What is self? It is the one that deserves the reference I. The one who deserves the reference I is called self. It is not the body, because the body does not deserve the reference I. Even though we refer to the body as I, on inquiry we understand that it does not deserve the reference I. Because the body is also objectified like any external objects. Then ultimately, what deserves the reference I? If you inquire, it is nothing but the consciousness, the Chaitanya. That is how Atma and Chaitanya are essentially one.
Wonderful, Swamiji. Thank you so much. Thank you for that.
Okay.
We have another question.
Yeah.
Since Jiva is Brahmaiva Naparaha, why is Jagat Nitya?
It is another aspect of the Vedantic understanding. As Shankaracharya points out, in half a verse, Shankaracharya sums up the Vedanta. Shlokardhena pravakshyami yaduktam granthakotibihi. So, the Vedanta is very elaborate. So many texts are written, and Shankaracharya sums up the Vedanta in half a shloka, in 2 lines. Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya. Brahman is Satyam and Jagat is Mithya. Jivo Brahmaiva Naparaha. Jiva is nothing other than Brahman. So one aspect of the teaching is Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya. And another aspect of the teaching is Jiva is Brahman. So these two are 2 different aspects. So yeah.
Swamiji, it is like 2 standpoints. Can we say that?
Not 2 standpoints, both converge into one ultimately.
Right.
Because see, if Jagat is not Mithya, Brahman cannot be Brahman.
Right.
Anantam, the Anantya of Brahman, the infinity of infinite nature of Brahman, requires Jagat to be Mithya. Without Jagat being Mithya, Brahman cannot be Ananta. So, to understand Brahman properly, we should understand the Mithyatva of the Jagat. Yeah. And also, to understand our union with the Brahman, we should understand that our limitation, which is caused by our body, our mind, everything is Mithya. And it is also a part of Jagan Mithyatva. Understanding the Mithyatva of the Jagat. Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Swamiji.
Yeah.
We don't have any more questions.
Fine.
Yeah. We were definitely, I could say that we were all benefited from the series, and
Yeah,
we would
yeah.
definitely look forward to listening more to you in the coming
Fine.
sessions.
Yeah.
Once again,
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Viewers,
Okay.
please do follow us on social media, on Facebook, Twitter, to get frequent updates on our upcoming talks and events. Thank you so much. Shri Gurubhyo Namah.
Okay. Thank you. Namaste.